Economies around the world have already begun their descent, and this is a trend that will continue for years on end. So today we will discuss how the EU is calling for global government as a solution to the crisis. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. We're going to get into this today. There will be no conspiracy theories discussed. This will only be the admissions of those who supposedly are in charge of this. Let's begin with this right here out of Bloomberg. France's Hollande proposes the creation of the Eurozone government. This is new information from July of 2015. They have a crisis on their hands. What's going on in Greece? I've been covering it regularly. And the solution to that is always more government. Many people ask for their government to provide the solutions. And here they are, in this case, providing a potential solution. At least that's what they believe. Let's look further into the article. As they say, the French president said that the 19 countries using the euro need their own government, complete with budget and parliament, to cooperate better and overcome the Greek crisis. Circumstances are leading us to accelerate. What threatens us is not too much Europe, but a lack of it. What exactly does that mean? Why do you have to have a governing body above all of the other governments in question to have their ways of basically dealing with other countries? You don't need that. You can have treaties and agreements and pacts between nations. You don't need to have an unelected set of technocrats above it all dictating policy. While the Eurozone has a common currency, fiscal and economic policies remain mostly in the hands of each member state. The ECB president, Mario Draghi, made a plea this week for deeper cooperation between the Euro members after political squabbles over Greece almost led to a rupture in the single currency. What they're asking for here is give up your sovereignty to us and we will fix everything. What we have already using the euro, one currency for a whole bunch of very different nations, and that's not enough. We have this EU, the council set up there, unelected technocrats. That's not enough. We need even more. I'm going to get into that in a moment. You can read much more in this article here, but I want to move on, keep this video short as possible. Today, the 5 presidents from the European Commission, the ECB, and so forth wanted to implement these 3 stages. While some of the actions need to be front-loaded already in the coming years, such as introducing the European Deposit Insurance Scheme, I like that word scheme, others go further as regards sharing of sovereignty among the member states that have the euro as their currency, such as creating a future euro area treasury. Well, wouldn't that be great? You don't want a set of individuals to create, they're dictating their monetary and fiscal policies, having elected people, having people who eventually get voted out. You don't want that. You want an unelected set of individuals controlling everything. This is just more and more control. And what they said right here was very interesting. Sharing of sovereignty. That doesn't exist. And what exactly is the percentage of sharing of that sovereignty? How about I'll take 99% of that sovereignty and you take 1% of the sovereignty? How does that sound? Down at the bottom, President Juncker said the euro is a currency shared by 19 EU member states. And he goes on to say some other things. Most importantly, what he said is that the economic and monetary union remains incomplete. And I promised when taking office that I would work to consolidate and complement the unprecedented measures we took during the crisis and make them more socially fair and democratically legitimate. What he's saying right here is exactly what they want, and they want more control and more power into the hands of the unelected. Let's look at this right here from my book. Right at the very end, I basically said that they're going to do more of this bailouts, bail-ins, government intervention. It's going to happen. They're going to have to create new organizations, and additional powers are going to be given to the ones that already exist. And at the time of writing my book, the ESM wasn't implemented. None of this was all implemented. They were still looking at the EFSF. And basically what I said was that they've tried this before consistently. They create these new unions, the IMF, and so on. It does nothing. It doesn't fix anything. It just gives control to these individuals. Historically, none of these organizations were capable of preventing crashes, and instead distort the market and burden the taxpayer further. Because remember, who's paying for all of these organizations that have the most lavish institutions? We do. The EFSF and any new organizations that are created will not defy what is laid out in the pages of history. Brace yourselves for an uncertain future. These are just a few examples I want to go through. Pope Francis calls for a new system of global government to tackle climate change. You can read his words for yourself right here, basically consistently calling for more global strategies to define exactly what you are and are not allowed to do. Think Agenda 21 here. It is a global agenda, but it's dictated, implemented on the local level. Extremely intelligent for those in charge. Look at this. The Vatican joins calls for a crackdown on financial markets. Well, that sounds reasonable, although I don't think they should be involved in that to begin with, but look at this. The Holy See is calling for a world authority to crack down on capitalism. Right here, they called for a central world bank. They have done this more than once, in fact, and not just the Vatican, but others, high-level individuals. And they also talked about basically promoting global development and sustainability. Those are Agenda 21 terms. They always use this sort of thing, but it's very important to me to note the Central World Bank. We're looking at this as really a mode or a method that they have been attempting to implement, and they did so with the ECB. That was definitely a huge step forward regarding that. Let's move on here to this. The IMF talked about global governance, and that's not to be confused with global government. Of course, they always try to play on the words here, but it really is the same thing. It is an unelected set of individuals dictating policy for everyone around the world. Whether you call it a government or governance, it doesn't matter. How the people are affected by it is what matters. And then you have this, the UN, also talking about global governance. In fact, you can search the word global governance and you'll get all kinds of institutions like the UN, the IMF, the Vatican, the Pope, all talking about global government or governance. This is a policy that will be instituted. They will be able to go ahead and implement everything that they want simply because they don't ask the people for their permission. They simply go ahead and do it. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. I like to do videos on the New World Order, on global governance, global government, and all of the global controllers, the technocratic elite, and everything that they are up to. This is very important information, and I do like to bring it out once in a while. If you found it informative, please give me a thumbs up, but I know that you'll find my book even more informative. So if you want to look through the book, you can actually go over to Amazon. They have a look inside feature, which allows you to flip through the book and see if you like it for yourself. Take care.